Hi,
Okay.
hi to Neil McKay. I've just been correcting how to say his last name. Who's a Ren fan, but he's also a creator. And I said, please let's talk about it. So there you go. That's your introduction. I
Yeah, that's
you
great.
couple of channels, yeah. Is there
I
one that
do
you
now,
particularly
yes.
want to promote or say about, or
Well, at the moment, I'm kind of obsessed with the Ren reaction playlists
yeah,
because that's the new project.
yeah.
I haven't been diagnosed with ADHD, but I do like to start a new project.
I know. Well,
It's one of my favorite things.
yeah. Well, I was in fact, one of the things I've struggled is saying what the dream or what the goal is. But actually having projects to work on feels a lot more achievable and something I could start. But when I start
Yeah,
saying what I feel like I've got to get the words right for the big dream or goal, and then I don't start anything. So,
yeah.
do you have an ultimate
Um,
vision or?
I have like a midterm vision.
Okay.
Um, so my other channel is Chief Abarach, and
Mm-hmm.
my name down below is Chief
Yeah.
Abarach. Abarach is my middle name, and when I was trying to get a Hotmail account years and years ago, Abarach wasn't available, or Neil Abarach Mackay wasn't
Yeah.
available. And a friend of mine said, I'd told him a story about my granddad saying he was the chief of that part of the clan.
Yeah.
So a friend just said, "Oh, just call yourself Chief Abarach," and it's kind of my stage name.
And then years later, you're thinking, "Oh my
Yeah,
goodness, I've still got that. I
why
got to
did I
explain
do
it."
that?
But sorry, and so in terms of
So
future vision, what is the
yeah,
future?
so my main channel, Chief Abarach, is where I put music.
Yeah.
So my vision is to get all of my musical ideas recorded.
Okay.
And that's, and once I've got all the ideas from the past 30 years recorded, I'll probably be in the way of making more music, and it'll just carry on,
Yeah.
hopefully. But if not, I'll just stop and I'll find other things to do.
Yeah.
And then my other project that I've been doing on that channel is a podcast called
Yes.
Man with a Music Minute.
Okay.
Um, so I started that and I've released 3 episodes of that.
Yeah.
Then I had a lot of problems with it because I was recording all my music and my podcasts on my phone, and I got a new phone exactly the same time that I discovered Ren. I
Hmm.
got a new phone. I had all this space on the phone, and I just went ahead, recorded 3, and put them out, and it was going out weekly or every 2 weeks or something,
Hmm.
and it was great. But then all of a sudden, my phone was full, and
Yeah.
I didn't didn't have places to put things, and so for about a year since then, I've been waiting storage space and to sort it
Yeah.
all out. So
Until
now I
yeah.
just bought this new laptop and I can get going again. So
Yeah.
that's exciting.
But you mentioned
So
Ren then, so I probably should have
yeah,
started with this right at the beginning. We've come into each other's worlds through the Ren fan side of things. But were you creating and making stuff and into music before, or is
yes,
this after?
I was. Um, I played the guitar when I was about 18 onwards, and I'm still learning. I'm still a
Hmm.
beginner. But so I'd written a couple of tunes on the guitar, but never recorded them.
Okay.
And I would play the same old tunes again and again, mainly Red Hot Chili Peppers and Gomez and Led Zeppelin.
Hmm.
Um, and then, but never recording it. There were a couple of songs I'd recorded onto tape back before I had a really old computer, and I just recorded these things. I had a drum machine, a guitar, and a computer, and I just recorded them straight to my hi-fi
Mm.
onto a cassette. So I'd done them years ago, and just this last year I found the cassette
Yeah.
and I put that online. But apart from that, I'd never done any recordings until I've got my Darth Vader T-shirt on today.
Right.
The Solo movie, it's the Star Wars story
Okay.
that that came out, and I watched this podcast. That's why I listened to this podcast called Rebel Force Radio, and they're kind of always talk about music and stuff. And when one of those trailers came out, I they were talking about the music from the trailer, and they were doing impressions of the music, and they said it sounded just like Led Zeppelin. And then at the end of their show, they did a little mashup of Led Zeppelin and the trailer for
Hmm.
Solo. And for some reason, I was a bit disappointed that they hadn't used their own impersonations of guitars and stuff
Yeah.
that they'd be doing all the way through the show. And I thought to myself, well, if I'm disappointed that they didn't do it, why don't I just do it?
Yeah.
So I took their voices from the whole show, and it took me ages to cut up little bits of voices, and I made a whole song just with their voices,
Yeah.
all the beatbox and everything, but just bit by bit on my phone, cutting it and putting it in the right place and stuff. And it took me a long, long time.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then I just kept doing it. So I released a few Star Wars parodies, uh, doing that.
Yeah.
But that was long before before I knew
Okay.
Ren.
I want to get to Ren, but there's a jump in
Yeah.
there that I particularly wanted to ask you about. Is that so? You want to make it. I've been there. I want to make it. I want to make it. But then you shared it, and I've waited a long times, and I've made quite a lot of things, but then not shared it. So was it? I'm going to make it. I'm going to share it. I've already got a YouTube channel, or was a long time? What tipped you?
I already had the YouTube channel.
Okay.
Well, when you log into
Yeah.
YouTube
Yeah.
to see your own, see some else's videos, you've always got the option to upload your own videos. So I had a few like videos and stuff that were
Yeah.
private, and I just added another one and made it public. It didn't seem like a big leap,
Okay.
um,
Yeah.
and I think it's still only had about 100 views.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a huge step. It's just a few people that know that podcast had watched it.
Yeah.
And then I did one. Um, Donald Glover is in um, Solo.
Okay.
He plays Lando Solo.
Yeah.
And just as I was getting into this, he released a song called "This Is America."
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Do you know that
Yeah.
one?
Yeah.
And that was a huge thing for me. I was like blown away by his video. It was
Yeah.
amazing. And Solo is from Karelia, so I decided to make "This Is Karelia," and I basically copied it beat for beat using their voices again from the podcast.
Yeah.
And I changed the words to fit Han Solo.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden he's back in Karelia again, and he's trying to escape, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that one actually got more views because I was
Yeah.
kind of riding the wave
Yeah.
of Donald Glover, and it's probably the one that at that point I'd actually figured out I'd figured out an app that would it's called Power Director, and you can actually do like a kind of semi-professional looking video,
Yeah.
um, the same as the ones that you would use in your laptop. So I'd finally found a way of doing it,
Mm.
and it wasn't just these simple apps that choose all the movements for you and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. That's what I'd used for the first two. So I really got into just making the videos and just taking the images from the trailers.
Mm.
And I'm a bit worried about copyright, so I thought
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll do the trailer images because that's I can say that I'm helping to promote the movie
Yeah.
because they've released it as a trailer.
Yeah.
But I didn't take anything from the movie itself,
Okay.
and the only sounds were from this podcast. And I tried getting in touch with them to see if they would promote it on their podcast,
Yeah.
and they said they would, but they never did.
Okay. So okay.
So
So you're experimenting, and you're just feeling like a bit of momentum, and that'll be fun, and I'll share it, and
yeah, yeah, and it's a hobby. It still
yeah.
is a hobby. All of this is just a hobby, and
Yeah.
the dream is to make a little bit of money from it. But
Yeah.
you know what it's like with even creators like Ren who are massive. That there's some of them are struggling to make a living. You
Yeah.
know, yeah, I've spoken to a couple of people in bands who have just given up because uh, there's just no money in it.
Yeah.
And these are people that I'd assumed were really big. The people I'd heard of before, and you know,
Yeah.
they just say, "Well, you don't get much money from gigging, especially if you've got a big band. You know,
Mm.
don't get much money from record sales."
Yeah.
Um, so I've never really thought of it as, you know, I'm going to be a rock star and I'm going to make lots of money. It's
Mhm.
just something to do
Yeah.
to express yourself, really.
Yeah. I know. You see, I've struggled with this in the past. I've been listening to experts, and when they say this is how you build a business and do different things, but I've run out of steam, and I've found things it didn't work, and I didn't like myself on camera when I was trying to do it the formulaic way. And I thought,
Yeah.
this time round, for this year, I started in the January, this time round, I'm going to do what I want to do and talk about and geek out about things that I want to do. And at least then I've done it my way. And if it doesn't work in terms of money and different things, that's okay because I've at least expressed myself and I'm
Yeah.
enjoying it more. So there's more momentum. But
Yeah.
I can't talk to you about the money stuff because of figuring it out.
Hello.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah, you're back.
yeah. I think the way that people say it should work is if you're really enjoying it and you're motivated to do more stuff,
Yeah,
then people will, see your enthusiasm and you will start to make money from it.
yeah,
But I'm sure there are a lot of people, especially in the reaction community, people who are putting out a lot of videos
yeah.
regularly. They're enjoying it. They've got a few thousand subscribers, but they're
Mm,
still not making money.
yeah, yeah.
um,
But anyway, so
I don't know.
how far behind in timeline are we before you find Ren and
So that
started?
so that was a few years before I found Ren, and then there was a break because I had a few ideas of doing more songs, and it comes in dribs and drabs because it was to do with the trailers and
Yeah,
podcast ideas and stuff like that, and there was no kind of regular deadline for that
yeah,
project.
yeah.
For years, I had another idea that I was going to do a podcast. I love podcasts, and I've been listening to movies by minute podcasts.
Yeah.
Where the first one was Star Wars Minute. They they talk about 1 minute of a movie per episode of their
Wow.
podcast. So they started with episode 4, A New Hope,
Yeah.
and minute 1, let's talk about it. And the first episode was maybe 5 or 10 minutes,
Okay.
but then they started getting guests in, and they had running gags, and they're really funny guys. And now they've done every single Star Wars movie 1 minute per episode.
Wow.
So you can imagine that's taken them probably about 10 years to do.
Yeah.
So that I was a big fan of that, and other people who were big fans said, "Is it okay if we do it with a movie that we love as well?" So
Yeah.
this big community started of
Hmm.
movies by minutes, and they meet up in America and stuff, and it's great. Um, so I'm a bit obsessed with this old movie called Man with a Movie Camera, and
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
um, so then I started one up called Man with a Music Minute,
Yeah.
um, and I'd been planning that for years, but then when I first saw High Ren, um, I kind of got inspiration because I've got a problem with my voice. I had HPV, and I had
Okay.
9 operations on my voice,
Oh
on my
wow.
vocal
Okay.
cords. So for a while, I had real problems speaking, but it's been fine for the last 10, 11 years.
Okay.
So my voice is still a bit croaky, but this is as good as it gets.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, And because of that, I've always had a bit of an apprehension with making videos with my voice in it,
Okay.
and especially singing as well. So um, when I heard Hi Ren, that something in that kind of told me that the nagging doubt that you've got about using your voice, just ignore it and just
Hmm.
express it. It's just accept it the way it is. And
Yeah.
so I did the podcast. I did the first 2 episodes with my 2 sons, well, 2 of my sons. The third one didn't want to do it. So I got in touch with a few people and said, "Would you like to do the podcast with me?"
Yeah.
The soundtrack on this old black and white silent movie,
Hmm.
the soundtrack from 2003 is from a band called the Cinematic Orchestra, and they're on this record label called Zion. oh, Hold on, they're on this record label called Ninja Tune.
Okay.
So I just got in touch with people. Um, and said, "Would somebody from Ninja Tune want to talk to me?" So the head, he's like one half of the band, Cold Cut, who started Ninja
Yeah.
Tune, he just said, "Okay, I'll do it." So episode 3 was like one of my heroes.
Yeah.
This guy who had this amazing record label. So so all of a sudden. I'd recorded all that, and I recorded a song that I'd written for my wife 20 years ago when we first met,
Okay.
and I did it in private for her like 20th anniversary of our first date. So I was doing all this stuff, and um, I kept saying it was because of High Ren that I was inspired to do all this,
Yeah.
and it kind of got overwhelming. It was just too many ideas coming at
Okay.
once, and not enough time, and so. And then, of course, like I was saying earlier, my phone just ran out of storage space,
Yeah.
and it kind of all stopped at that point. I've done all that, and then Ren took over
Yeah.
as he does. Um, so uh, I freed up a bit of storage space when the remix competition came out for Down on the Beat.
Yeah.
And the other thing about the podcast and about Ninja Tune is um, they released exactly the same time, probably a week after I saw High Ren, they released a new app um, called Jam Pro, and it's
Okay.
like a DJ app.
Yeah.
On your phone, you can just take samples, put them in, and remix them, and it's got like 4 tracks, and you can decide which samples to use and mix and match. And it's just that blew me away as well. That was part of my
Yeah.
overwhelm of all these ideas coming at once, and
I can see it.
uh, so yeah, I used that for the High Ren,
Yeah.
sorry, for the Down on the Beat remix as
Yeah.
well. Um, so I did that, and then I decided to do a documentary about all of the remixers that
Yes. Yeah.
did that. So I've interviewed a few people for that.
Yeah. I've
Um,
seen the trailer for that. You
and
did a trailer, yeah?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it was it was great getting all the interviews, and I was really enthusiastic about it. But once again, I've got these storage issues.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get in touch with React to kind of talk about all the remixes because the people I've spoken to so far, they're all the remixers themselves. They're not
Okay.
reactors. So I wanted to have a bit of a commentary on the different styles of remix and
Yeah.
all that kind of thing. So I'm looking for somebody to do that.
Yeah.
And now I've got my laptop. I've got more space to actually edit it uh, properly on the laptop
Yeah.
and to use, because part of the problem was if you edit things on your phone, you can only make a video that's as big as your phone's
Yeah.
storage can handle.
Yeah.
Um, so I had that problem with the one reaction that I've done. It was like a 2-hour reaction to High Ren.
Yeah.
Um, well, not really to High Ren, because we'd all seen High Ren before. It was a reaction to the 1000th High Ren reaction.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was a 2-hour chat with a group of about 10 people, and we just talked about why we're big fans of reactions,
Yeah.
and I made a little mashup of a few different, well, 10 different reactors, and we went through them one by one and just reacted to their reactions.
Yeah.
That was great, and I did all that on my phone once again. But actually, rendering a 2-hour video and to put on YouTube, you can you can only do it at a certain quality. You
Yeah.
can't do high quality
Yeah.
on your phone. So for the documentary, I'm really going to try and make it as high quality as possible now that I've got this.
Yeah. But as you're talking, though, I'm just hearing, okay, that's project one, project two, project three. And then you didn't mention, I don't know what number project it is, but you mentioned 1,000 plus reactions, but you didn't mention the fact that you've documented and listed all of the reactions.
Well, that's the
That's
reason I
another
knew there were
project. Yeah.
1,000. The only reason I knew there were 1,000 is
Yeah.
because since watching High Ren, um, I had a few playlists of um, just general. These are good reactions to watch for movies or
Yeah.
songs or whatever. But all of a sudden, with High Ren, something in me said I've got to. I still haven't seen all of them, but
Yeah.
I've listed all of the ones I can
Yeah.
find. I don't know why. Maybe it's I don't know. Maybe
Yeah. But
some
you've got
kind of
quite
disorder or something.
a long playlist, and I think that's the Chief Abarak.
Yeah, that was
That's the
on
Chief
my
Abarak. You've
main
got a
account.
long.
Yeah, so that was all just I just did it for myself
Yeah,
initially, but then I started telling people about it on Discord, on
yeah,
Ren's Discord, and on the Rabbit Hole Fans and any other places online that people chat, Reddit, and all.
yeah,
And all of a sudden, people started saying, "Oh, Neil, here's another one." And I had a few people just tagging me every time
yeah.
a high Ren reaction came up. So then I was trying to promote my music. I kept saying to people, "I'm going to be more famous for this playlist than I am for anything else," which I'm fine with that. But
There's no way to know. But then you've started the new channel, the Ren Reaction playlists,
yeah,
and
well,
you're doing the kind
yeah,
of like a mini. I would calling it a podcast because it was a video. Are you doing it as a sound as
I've been
well, or
calling it a show.
a show
It's not a sound. I'm not putting it out on
podcast now?
Spotify or anything. I'm just doing it on YouTube.
Okay,
My other my Movies by Minutes
the minutes
podcast
one. Yeah,
is actually it's a video thing, but I'm putting that out as a podcast
yeah.
on streaming channels as well.
Yeah, because I think I
Um,
haven't watched any of those deliberately, because you
yeah,
said about
okay,
watching the film, and I thought, okay,
yeah,
I need a chunk of time to watch the film and then watch
yeah,
see what you're doing about the minutes and different things.
yeah.
I just find the
Um,
reaction videos really useful because I can't always process. Certainly with the music and things like Ren, my feeling is when I'm watching it that this is really good. There's a lot here, and I suspect there's a lot more that I'm not getting. There's that feeling of
yeah,
I'm not getting it all. I know there's more, and there's a few people who speak professionally. I'm thinking of Brené Brown when she did a TED talk, and I felt the same way. It's like it's really good. I'm enjoying it, but there's more, and I'm not.
hmm
You just know that you're missing stuff, don't you? Sometimes.
yeah. Especially with Ren, he puts so much
Yeah,
effort into his videos and into the lyrics, into the music, into just the way he sings as well and
yeah.
raps. There's so much nuance there, and I've enjoyed rap over the years.
Hmm.
Every so often something will come up like Public Enemy or Disposable Heroes of Hip Hoprisy,
Yeah.
things that really grab me. But in general, I'm not a rap fan.
Hmm.
But so you
But you've
get a
got the
lot of
movie link as
people
well.
reacting.
Yeah. But if you're into
Yeah, yeah,
movies,
I'm
and
more
then his
interested in.
storytelling, yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I'm more interested in. Uh, More interested in the mix of um, Matt Black from Ninja Tune explained this perfectly in my podcast. This um, he gave it a name as well, which I should know off the top of my head. But it's like the mix of sound and vision,
Hmm.
um, and there's something special to go together really
Yeah.
well. Um, and the second part of my podcast is about your favorite music video
Hmm.
because I see that movie as a music video, and some of my favorite music videos they blend sound and vision
Yeah.
just perfectly.
Yeah.
Um, there's a guy called Chris Cunningham who does that amazingly. Or um,
But
what's his name?
I've just been talking about this because of, as I say, I do the cartoons. I've got words, I've got an image, and although you're saying blend perfectly, it's a third thing that they're creating. The meaning.
Yeah,
It's not the congruency of, oh, these words match so perfectly with the image. There's something that it creates a third thing or a third
yeah,
meaning. Does that make sense to you?
definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I'm struggling more to think about that with the words and the image
Yeah.
because I think they go together
You're seeing it more of a
so much more
congruency.
often.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that yeah, normally you have in any meme you've got a word and an image or whatever. That
Yeah.
you get it a lot more, or in books with pictures.
Yeah.
We're more used to that. But there's something about certain music videos, like the one I'm thinking of. Chris Cunningham was the director, and the artist was called Square Pusher.
Hmm.
Square Pusher did this crazy kind of drum and bass music with I call it grate beat. It's like grating sounds in the drum beats.
Hmm.
They were using drum machines, and it was kind of weird sounds.
Yeah.
But then this director comes along, and you would imagine that they made the film first, and that's just the sounds of what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like in a movie, you just do the Foley to make those sounds to match the
Yeah.
images. But it's actually he's done it the other way around, and
Right.
it's mind-boggling that it goes so well. You know,
Yeah.
so that's a video called "Come on, My Selector" by Square
Okay.
Pressure. So that kind of thing just it fascinates me, and I'd love to make movies like that.
Oh,
But
is that the dream? The make actually a
yeah, well,
movie?
like music videos
Okay.
and like documentary is on the
Yeah.
way.
Well, yeah,
And
yeah,
one
you're
day,
involved.
I've got a dream of making a movie as well. There's like a local story that somebody told me that is just amazing,
Yeah.
and I would love to, even just a short story. I would love to make a movie that had, and it's a powerful story that I'm thinking of. Lots of drama, but I would want it to be a comedy as well, like a
Yeah.
mix. I'm a big fan of the Cornetto trilogy, so I would love to have that kind of mix of drama and comedy and
Yeah.
great acting and that kind of thing. They're just amazing.
Yeah. One
Um,
of the things people have said in the comments to me is that when they found Ren and the reactors and different things, they were kind of out of the loop for a lot of music and film and stuff. And so they kind of found themselves back in it. And I'm noticing as I'm listening to you, I'm like, Cornetto trilogy, I don't know that, and I don't know that. And I feel like I need to writing all these things down.
oh, right.
And just that you're speaking to other people and you think, I think we have similar fascinations. And so, but so many recommendations. It's
Yeah.
cool.
The Cornetto trilogy was Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Hot
and they
Fuzz and
had
stuff.
Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End.
Oh, I've never heard
And
it called that though.
there's a
Yeah.
there's a cornetto in each one, a different color of
Ah,
cornetto in each one,
I
so they
love
call it the
Hot
Cornetto
Fuzz.
trilogy.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Edgar Wright is one of my favorite directors. He's
yeah.
just
Me
amazing.
and my
He,
husband
from
quote that all the
from
time.
back when they did Spaced, I just
Yeah.
loved his style. So
Okay. Well, that's curious. Yeah.
yeah.
It's funny.
See, I have lots of dreams of, oh, if I could make something, I would want to do it like that person.
Yeah.
But I have no, at the moment, I have no understanding of
Yeah.
filmmaking, of
Yeah.
actors, and all the funding for it and all that kind of stuff. But my son has just turned 18. And he is hoping to go to theatre school to
Okay.
be an actor. So he's around a lot of people. He's actually been in a couple of short films and things, and
Okay.
so um, it would be interesting to see how they do things and kind of get inspiration, or just to other people to do the stuff. Just kind of say, I want this done, and let
Yeah.
other people get enthusiastic about it.
Yeah.
I think
But that's
a
I
lot
think
of
that's why
people,
you've got a lot of different projects going on, but there's just so much and
yeah, even just like we did today, even just setting up
yeah.
an interview with somebody, trying to get my laptop working. For some reason, the camera just wouldn't come on, and
Yeah.
something simple like that can
Yeah.
take you the whole day to figure it out.
Yeah.
And you've
But I
got the massive dreams, and then you've got the
yeah,
tiny little tasks that
the practicalities.
you know. There's a big hurdle,
But I know that for me personally, I had a voice in my head when I first started of saying I want to come across as being professional, and so every time I didn't know something like this, and the video didn't work or the recording didn't happen or something like that, I took it rather personally of I'm not showing up professional and they're giving me their time and stuff like that. So I made it harder
Yeah,
for myself. But are
yeah.
you gentle on yourself or are you?
I'm learning to be gentle on myself. Um, I think it's at times like that, especially if it's somebody that you don't know.
Yeah,
Um, because I recorded those 3 podcasts, for instance, and then I I released them, and I was on the way to do other ones, but I'd recorded 3 more, but there were issues with my whole setup. I
yeah,
was using a work computer, and I wasn't really allowed to save the files on the work computer,
yeah,
so I was trying to save them on the phone and back and forth. So I'm trying to record on one thing and have the images on the other thing, and the video just didn't work on 2
yeah,
of uh, the episode 4, 5, and 6.
yeah,
2 of them are just without the people that I'm talking to.
yeah,
So it's a kind of another idea of mine is, okay, well, I can just use AI to put little
yeah,
characters in there. then I've got to learn how to do video with AI, and it's another simple idea that just becomes a frustrating list of tasks, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know where I was going with that, but it's the technical difference like that kind of get in the way of your simple vision, you know.
Yeah, but I think everybody's got to go through that if they want to
Hmm.
create and do stuff. And I think that's part of what I'm, although I've shared mistakes and videos that have gone wrong, I was thinking I'm trying to reach people that maybe haven't started to hit record yet. And I'm not
Yeah,
as polished, and it's like, but this is how you learn. This is the process of it. You start a load of projects. Some projects dwindle out. Some projects flame out and then some,
yeah,
and then the weird thing that you make people are interested in and have feedback and stuff. It's just, but I think you've got to get used to that is what he's like when you start. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. I'm sure there are creators that just have instant successes, but I think this is more familiar.
yeah. I think there's something in there about finding people who will accept that you're just
Yeah. Yeah.
figuring it out. Um, and I was quite lucky with the people I'd interviewed that they understood it. They're podcasters themselves, so they understood all that.
Yeah.
And I was lucky with Matt Black from Ninja Tune that
Hmm.
he recorded it. He did all that because he's got a professional setup and he wanted to do it using um, Google Meet, which I'd never used before.
Yeah.
And so his episode was recorded perfectly. Um, and so the person that it would have been most embarrassing if I'd mucked it up
Yeah.
and didn't get any of the images, actually, it worked out fine.
Yeah.
Um, but I think there's a charm in getting things wrong for a while, but
For a
as
while.
you but as you're trying to do something that's a bigger project, like
Yeah.
I really want um this Ren remix documentary to
Yeah.
be quite professional looking
Yeah.
and just like a documentary you'd see on BBC or something, you know.
Yeah.
But it's going to take a lot of
But
work to
as I
get there.
say, I know that some people criticise doing multiple different projects, but I do feel like, in terms of your projects and the projects that I'm doing, in a year's time, the dots will connect. We
Yeah,
don't necessarily see it now, but I reckon that the skills that you're learning in terms of the tech and everything, you're going to use for this documentary. I mean, it
yeah,
seems obvious, doesn't it? But I reckon
yeah,
it'll be clearer in a year's time. We'll look back and say, oh yeah, you needed to do the other things too, and
definitely. And that's part of the it's a good segue to what I'm doing now.
mhm.
Part of the reason that I started doing the videos
Yeah,
for the Ren reaction playlists
yeah, yeah.
is I saw your channel and I
Thanks
thought,
for the shout out.
yeah, I thought that's
Episode 12.
amazing. You're just doing it and releasing it
Yeah,
regularly, and it doesn't matter if it's just 1 minute
yeah,
and you've got a simple thing to say. Just put it out, and your personality comes through, and that's the most important thing.
yeah,
So that gave me confidence once again to say, just hang up or let go of your hang ups and just do it.
yeah,
So I've only released two so far, and I think if I do regularly enough, it's a weekly show at the moment,
yeah,
um, and I'm hoping to stick to that,
yeah,
unlike I did with the podcast. If I can do that, then I'll build up the confidence to just speak for 5 minutes and cut down the amount of editing. Because at the moment,
yeah,
I'm editing like every second sentence because there's so many times that I start a sentence. It's funny when I'm speaking to you, I'll just talk,
yeah.
but when I'm speaking on my own to a camera, I
Well,
get
it's
this kind
not
of
natural.
thing that is not, and I get this thing that, oh no, that's not what I wanted to say,
Yeah,
and I second guess myself, and then I start just fumbling my words, and
yeah,
but it's amazing what another person sitting there does, and that's why I was looking for Riaz to do the
yeah,
documentary because we can sit and have a chat like this,
yeah,
and it'll feel a lot more natural. I don't want to write out a script and have my voice droning on the whole time.
Yeah, and I just think that they're different skills. Before I started doing all of this, I used to teach and help people with communication skills and stuff. So that was kind of some things that I'd already learnt and figured out. And everybody used to say, um, maybe they wanted to do a certain type of speech or something like that. And for me, it was about flexibility, is that I need to be comfortable in lots of different situations. And so for you to speak to the camera, it is odd. It is
Yeah,
odd. I don't know. I
definitely.
mean, yeah, it is odd, but it is a skill that could be really useful. And then the interviews and stuff, that's a
Yeah,
different skill, isn't it?
yeah. And I think it's part of it is the way I've tackled this little show. I've decided it's just a short thing. It doesn't
Yeah,
have to be all
yeah,
figured out at first. So I just go along and start talking.
yeah,
But then while I'm talking, I'm thinking, well, what do I actually want to say?
yeah,
And what phrase should I use for this thing or that thing? So that the second episode I've just released, I did like a chart rundown of all the playlists that we've got on the channel.
yeah,
Um, and the Pick of the Pops
yeah, yeah, yeah.
radio
Because you
show they
said
had.
you're inspired by that. Yeah.
I I just learned that on the guitar, that tune,
Okay.
and played that on the guitar. So it's got me. I added the guitar into it, so it's me running down, like going from the first one that had 12 reactions or whatever, all the way up to Jenny and Screech, which has
Yeah,
got 920, probably more by now. Um, and I did that, but I hadn't planned out what I was saying, and
yeah,
I've never done an impression of the charts before, so they always have like all these phrases they use,
yeah.
like oh, and down from number one to number
Poptastic.
five, it's this one, and pop pickers and all this stuff. And I didn't think of any of that before I started.
Yeah,
So as I was editing it, I noticed every time I just went, at six, you got this. At
yeah,
five, you got that. And it's very kind of similar every time.
yeah, yeah,
But once again, it's like, let go of all that. It doesn't matter. It's just a bit of fun. So just do
yeah.
it and put it out.
Are you
Um,
finding for that there is resistance to hitting record, or that now you've set I'm doing this short, it's easier?
and I think because I decided it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah,
It's just a quick kind of, I've called it the Ren Reactions Rundown. It's like a
yeah,
news rundown of, well, this is what we've been doing um, on the channel. And I say we because I'm starting to build a team
yeah,
who have been adding to the playlists
yeah, yeah,
because I can't. My goal is to have every single Ren reaction in a playlist.
yeah,
So each playlist has one song and all the reactions that I can find to that song. And I just read today that Ren has about 200 videos. There's no way I can keep up with 200
no,
reaction playlists.
yeah,
Even just keeping up with higher Ren is
yeah,
enough. So I've got this team, about 10 or 12 people, and they all help out as much as they can. There's no
yeah,
pressure to do, you've got to get them all. It's just whenever they can help out,
yeah,
they they add one to the playlist. And I was joking the other day that I'm such a nerd. I do spreadsheets in my spare time because the way that YouTube playlists work,
yeah,
if it's somebody else's playlist and you're adding to it, you can't see. There's no tick to say that
okay,
they've added one already.
okay,
So I was helping
brilliant,
somebody else out with a playlist, and I just kept adding it, and they
yeah,
said, "You've put all these ones in that are already
okay,
there." So we've got a spreadsheet to make sure you check the spreadsheet first,
yeah,
and then you can put it on the playlist.
yeah. I like
So
spreadsheets too, so
yeah, I love it.
we'll nerd out together. So
So yeah, we've got a new member of the team who actually used to be a data analyst, and
okay.
she came on and she almost had a heart attack how unprofessional my spreadsheet was. You haven't done all the like different coloured rows, and you
Yeah,
haven't like got filters for each one. So,
yeah, yeah.
um,
So
but she's great. She's really been improving the spreadsheet
yeah.
and
So
making sure
that
we're all
kind of leads
working
me
together.
onto something I wanted to talk about, but I forgot at the beginning, is about the community in the Ren fans. So you said earlier about you'd made these other things, and then suddenly you talk about Ren just a little bit, and then this reaction list, and then suddenly you start getting people entering your world.
Yeah,
So, what's that like? It's
it,
fun, isn't it?
it's amazing. And there were two main things. There was the reaction lists that I did, or the IRN one that I did, that got a few people regularly talking to me. But
Yeah,
the main one was the remixes on Rencord
yeah.
every day, talking about these remixes as they're coming out, and we were all excited to see, how many remixes are there on YouTube. Some people didn't put them on YouTube; they just had them on Bandcamp or whatever. So we were
Hmm.
searching around trying to find these new remixes of Down on the Beat, and there was a real community of all the people that were talking about it, and people kept coming in who had done a remix and they wanted to talk about it, and so it felt, for that brief month or whatever, it felt like we were building a community.
Yeah,
Um, and because of that, I decided to do the documentary because there were all these people talking.
yeah.
Um, and luckily, one of the people I managed to interview was, um, now I'm blanking on his name, the guy who won the petition.
Okay. Began with
Um,
a J.
um,
I'm sure it's.
he,
Yeah, I'm seeing the letter J. O-U-J. Jern. I can't remember her name.
he, I should know it because he is still releasing, for every new Ren song, he releases a remix.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
and
I scribbled
um,
some notes, but I don't think I don't know. I just have a weird filing system in my brain that sometimes I just get the letter J or something. But I could
yeah,
be completely knocking you off track there.
um, yeah. So I had a good chat with him, and
Yeah.
so I was lucky that I did because, and it was before he knew that he'd won. So,
Okay.
but that was, a lot of people didn't want to um do a video chat; they just did it for text.
Okay.
So once again, I've got this idea. Well, maybe I'll need to do like an AI voice or an AI
Yeah.
video of him or whatever. I don't know yet. But it was good to speak to a lot of people about their method and how they made their videos and
Yeah.
how they made their, because some people actually did a funny video with them rapping in it and
Yeah.
stuff, and yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
So that there was a real spirit of a community, and um, everyone that I spoke to was talking about how Ren inspired them and how
Yeah.
uh, yeah, they felt that community spirit, that kind of Ren effect, if you like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Have I missed that term? Do people call it the Ren effect, or is that just something you made up?
It's kind of there was a discussion yesterday or today about what does that actually mean, and I think a lot of people have different ideas of what it means. But the way I see it is, it kind of goes along with the rising tide thing,
I was just wondering if it was
because
that.
yeah, because his enthusiasm, his personality shines so much, and um people want to be part of that
Yeah.
culture, and that kind of um that shunning of the kind of lust for money, and the, you know actually looking at people with mental health issues or physical
Hmm.
disabilities and saying it's just another person like you or me,
Yeah.
and um we all have issues, whether it's mental health, physical health, or just personality. We all have different ways that we
Hmm.
don't fit in with everybody, So being gentle on yourself and gentle on others is part of Ren's ethos, and
Yeah.
I think that's part of it. It's built up a community where people kind of, they yearn for that, because it's often missing, especially in like the typical hip hop kind of thing of all the bling and
Yeah.
the scantily clad women and all that. It's like there's that whole Hollywood
Hmm.
lifestyle that it's not what we relate to.
Yeah.
Um, and a good example of a song that went against that was Dead Prez Hip Hop that the Big Push covered.
Yeah.
Um,
I
and
don't know
that
any of
was
the.
totally against.
I'm so new to this world. You do know that.
That's another one that just kind of jumped out, and to me, it was like, that's a good one. That's one
Hmm.
that speaks to me because it's not all of that um, stereotypical stuff,
Yeah.
and and it just so happens that Ren put that in. Well, I should say the Big Push, because it's not just Ren. The Big Push put that in a mix. It's like a medley with Bob Marley's "I Shot the Sheriff"
Mm.
and Damian Marley's song called "Road to
Okay.
Zion" and hip hop.
Yeah.
There's another one that's in there as well. I forget the name of that one. A little bit of luck, it's called. So yeah, those four they just go so well together.
Yeah.
So that's one of their busking videos. That's
Yeah. I think I've
a
definitely
lot
seen
of
something
reactors are doing
about
that.
the "I Shot the Sheriff," but I think that might have been a
Yeah,
while ago.
yeah,
Yeah, but no, I'm just going to bounce back though, because you were saying about the Ren effect and then the rising tide, and I did a quick video about that, and it's clear that the
mm,
whole rising tide thing, people do interpret that differently, and when you say Ren effect, yes, it's community, but I'm seeing what is really interesting to me is that you hear it, and then you decide, oh, I'll create. I mean, you were already creating, but something
mm,
happened to I'll create. And I've had quite a few people reach out to me saying, oh, I started creating or I started wanting to make something. And I'm wondering whether the rising tide is a bit more about that rather than him on a pedestal. And yes, there are other reactors rising,
yeah,
but that it's actually the community themselves could equally be the star of them
definitely.
creating
And
something. I
I
don't think he's
think,
threatened by that. That's what I mean. I think he's
yeah,
like,
I think that's because that part of it is because High Ren is so much about the creative struggle
yeah,
and about what's going on in your mind and accepting that there will always be the
yeah,
doubts that
yeah,
are attacking you, and accepting that you can still do it even though
yeah.
you've got all these nagging doubts. Your mind is telling you you're nobody, you're never going to achieve it. Well, just try it anyway.
Yeah. And just to know
And
somebody
I
else
think,
is still hearing that, but
yeah,
doing it. Yeah.
and I think that is kind of like the core of he's
Yeah.
saying that in that one video which went viral
Yeah.
basically, and there's a community um that's kind of latched onto that creative struggle
Yeah.
plus the mental health side of
Yeah.
it. So there's a lot of people who have mental health issues or physical health issues
Hmm.
who they hear their own story being told in High
Yeah.
Ren or just in. I mean, he doesn't really talk about his Lyme disease in the High Ren, but
No.
it's a tiny bit at the end where he hints at it.
Hmm.
But just as you learn more about him, you learn about the amount of medical issues he's had over the years, and that speaks to a lot of people. So
Yeah.
they see, we see, because I'm another person who, I've been affected by that. So we all see, no matter what your struggles are, you can try and do your best and
Yeah.
just put stuff out there, and you will get there.
Yeah.
You will get somewhere. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you'll
That's a
be
really
number
good
one.
point. You'll get somewhere. You'll get
Yeah,
somewhere. Because
and have fun while you're doing it.
when I was
It's not.
focusing on would I achieve this goal or will this happen, I just paralyzed me. I
Mm,
couldn't get things started. And it's like, okay, will I enjoy this project? Yes, that'll be fun. And at the end of the year, I'll have learned a load of skills and figured I'll have more data. That's kind of how I thought about it. It's just, I'll have
yeah,
more data. Because I don't know how much you know about me, but I've been diagnosed with chronic fatigue. So I don't know, am I going to be super well, not so well, the same? So
yeah,
throwing that
and
into the mix.
that'll fluctuate.
Yeah, well, I
You'll
just
have
don't know. I
off
can't
weeks.
say 1 year, 2 years. Um, and I think some people like to think about, positive thinking, and you imagine that. That didn't help me get started. It helped me to get
Yeah,
started to think, whatever of those options happens in the future, what project will future me, whichever one is future me, be happy that I've done.
yeah,
So that's how I could
and
make a choice.
yeah, that kind of the perfect example of that is Sick Boy
Yeah.
because Ren had um there was a mutual agreement between him and I think it was Sony that he dropped the recording deal because he was too ill to carry
Mm.
on. But he still had that in him that he wanted to make music. So
Yeah.
he decided, I'll just do something for my own enjoyment, something that I want to do.
Hmm.
And okay, I'll try all this kind of weird rap mixed with all sorts of styles,
Yeah.
And he just did it for himself,
Yeah.
and then got a number 1 record out of it. You know, that's just mind-boggling. But it's
You just don't know, do you?
you as long it's like what I was saying earlier on. As long as you're enjoying it and your personality shines through, people who like that sort of thing
Yeah.
will latch onto it. Um, I don't know if any of the stuff that I do will ever have a big group of people that enjoy
Hmm.
it, but even if it's 100 people,
Yeah.
um, that's fine. I mean, for my one channel, I've got 100, about 140 subscribers, something
Yeah.
like that. Um, for this new one, I've got about 90,
Hmm.
and that's only in 2 weeks. So the one that's more Ren based is like springing
Yeah.
up, and my own music, people aren't so interested.
But in a
But
way, that's kind of one of the danger spots that I've been noticing for me is that some people in the comments are saying, do a reaction video and do this and do that. And I'm having to pause and say, is that what my next project is? Is that something
yeah,
that's fun to me? Now, sometimes it is fun, and other times I'm still doing other things like the cartoons. And you could say there's no relation.
yeah,
I don't know how they're gonna fit together. I don't know, but I don't feel like I should be um, just doing following the enthusiasm of the fans and doing what they say. I feel like I need to keep
yeah,
taking a step back and saying, okay, what is it I want to make?
yeah. That's something I'm wondering about as well, because the regularity I think is important.
Yeah,
I know from personal experience that I just stopped, and then obviously nobody's going to start subscribing if you're not doing anything. um, but if you can put something out regularly,
yeah,
that's your own personal um, like dream project that you're doing a little bit at a time every week. That's for you, and then every so often you can do something
yeah,
that gets a lot of hits and that gets enough people to see your channel,
yeah,
that the ones that like what you're doing in for yourself, enough people will like that you'll get that fan base as well. I
yeah.
think there might be 1,000 people that are there to see a Ren reaction,
Mm,
but uh, if
some
10 of
stay.
them want to become a
Yeah,
subscriber because they like your daily video, then that's
yeah.
great.
I think I think it's what's been tricky is that I do enjoy doing them, um, and I felt like it would be easy to be swept along by
All
that, and
right.
I needed to keep coming back to, okay, is this part of what I want to be doing
Yeah.
all the time? So
Kind of had a mantra at the start of the year. I don't do New Year's resolutions, but
okay,
I kept saying to people, I want to find more balance, because I had that
okay,
overwhelming period that I had all these ideas coming to me. I did
yeah,
too many projects all at once, and then it just stopped for a long time.
hmm,
Well, I say it stopped, but there were little blips with other things. But I want to have that balance that I'm doing regular stuff, but it's not overwhelming me.
yeah,
And I think being able to do a short video, and then every so often you release something that's a bit
yeah,
bigger and gets more people to see your channel, that would be a better balance, I think. And I think I thought that you kind of had that, and that's why I was inspired by you, because you've got your
thank you.
daily video that
The
I think
dailies are
is
for me
great.
to hit record because I
Yeah,
swear every time it comes later in the evening and I've got to hit record and I have loads of excuses coming up in my head
no, yeah,
of like, it won't matter to miss just one. And I'm like, my goodness, I thought I'd have got over this by now. I thought I'd
yeah,
feel more comfortable hitting record. And I'm still, I
yeah.
know
You're on
that
about
people watching it might
100.
not know that, but I
Yeah,
know
you're
I'm
on
really
what,
struggling.
140.
Pardon?
Is it 100? You're on about 140 now, aren't you?
Yeah, close
Something like that.
to 138, 139, something like
Yeah.
that. So yeah,
So
I thought it would take a month. I thought it would
yeah,
take a month, but I think you know yourself. I knew that if I stopped for one day, I would stop for a week easy.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Tricky, and I know that people aren't really watching those videos, and I feel like that's me being selfish. Is that I've got to build up that muscle of hitting record, and I understand that you know a lot of people don't want to watch those, but that's my thing that I've got to do for me right
yeah.
now.
It's I love a kind of a journey to see somebody's journey
Yeah,
of they don't know quite exactly what they want to do at the start. They don't know
yeah,
how to do it, but they build it up, and it's
yeah.
like a rags to riches kind of story.
I hope
you
so.
know.
And I hope.
um,
I mean, I'd if I'd have thought about what I think is going to work, I would never have done the video about saying obsessed with watching Ren reaction videos. That's how so many people of the Ren fans then found
yeah.
me, and all these doors opened. I wouldn't have made that. I'd have thought about it and thought, oh, that's stupid, or it was
Mm,
so off track. But I just had a certain because I was feeling a little bit more playful, because I was hitting record, I thought, oh, it's okay. I'll just tell these hundred and so there was only about 160 or something subscribers at the time. It's like, I'll just tell these few people that I watch Ren reaction videos. But it was only because I was feeling playful that I was able to share that. I think if I'd
yeah.
have been more deliberate and conscious, and if I wasn't doing the dailies, I wouldn't have done that. So we're figuring it out. It's all working out. But
Yeah.
I go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, and while you're doing that, you've got massive projects. I mean, you've done maybe one or two reaction videos, which is
Yeah.
a bigger project,
Oh, just
but the
the
massive
tech.
one is your
The
book. I
tech.
mean, but your book as well. That must have been a
Yeah, thank
massive.
you. Yeah, so I,
Uh,
I I just did a high ren analysis video because I've already seen it. I
right.
did an
Yeah.
analysis, and I just said I'm going to do is geek out and say all the bits that I
Right.
like. Um, and I had a blast, and some of the sound is not working right, and I'm like, "Oh, seriously?" And I just feel like I can't share that. I'm it's it's gone past the it's funny and it's cute having problems with the tech
Right.
now. And I thought, okay, I'm going to give myself some time and I'll look at that another
Well,
day.
you'd be surprised how many videos, and I have seen a lot of Ren reaction videos. You'd be surprised how many of them have really bad sound, and
Yeah,
they they still get lots of views. It
yeah,
amazes me.
yeah. Well, it's just
Yeah.
because I know when I look at the individual files, all the individual files are fine. When I put them together, something happens and there's a glitch, and
Right.
it's like, okay, I need to stop and slow down. But I think also, I don't know whether you know of Stephen Pressfield talking about resistance. It's about the creative journey and feeling resistant. I think there's some resistance there because I let my geek out a bit. So
Right.
I think part of me is thinking maybe I shouldn't be sharing that. So
I see. I
um,
think that's probably something that would attract more people to watch it because,
yeah,
you know, we love to see somebody geeking out about, especially about something we love, you know?
yeah.
Um,
I, I,
that's
I, yeah. I think part of me is. Well, I'm pointing to the tech, and there is obviously a tech problem, but I wonder
yeah,
whether that is compounded with
maybe.
that's a little bit more vulnerable than I really want to be. But yeah, I was watching Jess from Film Finds, and and she did an analysis rather than a
Yeah,
reaction, just an analysis, and I thought, oh, I'd love to jump in this conversation, and so I thought, okay, and I think that's
that's it.
when you're new to the creative stuff, that's kind of what you're doing, isn't it? It's like, okay, I've got some energy and momentum, I'll go there. There's, it's not so planned out, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It's I think when I've done it, I've always seen other people doing similar things and thought, oh, I'd like to do that.
Yeah,
I'd like to do a podcast too. I'd like to
yeah,
make music videos too.
yeah,
And you, you don't, especially nowadays, you don't need to go and do a big course and to,
yeah,
to study for years before you even try to do something. You
yeah.
just try it first and then learn it along the way.
But it's interesting
I
you
think,
said sensitive about your voice, though. That because of, I mean, it's just things that you may feel personally. It's not something that the audience notices or say to them.
yeah, I think it's more about singing. I sing in the car a lot and I
Okay,
know certain times I don't hit a certain note,
okay,
and it's not that I get the wrong note. I might do. I don't think so, but it's that I try to sing a certain note in a certain way, and the sound just doesn't come out
okay,
because
okay.
of my damaged vocal cords. So I might be singing like sometimes my falsetto is quite strong,
Hmm.
but if I'm doing E sounds, my falsetto is okay.
Okay.
But as soon as I go it stretches your vocal cords differently, and
Mhm.
nothing comes out. So, and I have that with like lower notes as well. That
Yeah.
they just don't have any force behind them.
Yeah.
So I know that I can record it 20 times and take the best one and put that into that part of the song. I know
Yeah.
I can do all that, but the idea of going on stage and singing a full song
Mhm.
just terrifies me because I think I'm going to miss half of those notes
Yeah.
because my voice isn't doing it that split second, unless I train it and um, make sure that I understand how to make those
Yeah.
sounds because I've never really looked into exactly how to do it. I keep seeing people like Chris Lipe and the Charismatic Voice and
Mhm.
all these reactors who seem to be amazing vocal coaches. And I
Yeah.
think, well, if I had loads of money, I would probably go to somebody like that and say, train my voice.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Um,
it was interesting that you said earlier about it made you feel a little bit hesitant about even just speaking and being on camera.
yeah, especially the first years after. uh, at one point, I couldn't even speak for about a month because there was just so much damage there.
Yeah.
Um, and then eventually they did another operation and it got rid of a lot of um, the damaged tissue that was there.
Yeah.
And then suddenly I got a stronger voice
Yeah.
back, and the HPV never came back. So for a few years, it was still a little bit stronger than it had been, but not good enough
Mhm.
to speak like a lot in one day.
Yeah.
I've just got a new job where I'm speaking to the clients. And I'm going to be doing that every day,
Okay.
speaking a lot to people. So I'm at a stage where I feel confident enough to actually speak on the phone all day, and I
Yeah.
know that my voice can handle that. Um, but it's taken a lot of um, I don't know what it is. It's just that that feeling that you can just try it and see
Mhm.
how far you can push it. Because before I was worried about even even trying to sing, even trying to.
Yeah.
You've got a bit in your register before you get to falsetto. You've got the really high notes
Mhm.
that are harder to hit, and it's a different kind of energy you have to put
Yeah.
into it. I keep thinking of Chris Lipe because he does these amazing kind of um, Soundgarden kind
Mhm.
of sounding songs, and I'd love to be able to do that. I know that I can hit some of those notes sometimes, but it's something you have to practice and practice,
Mhm.
and and so I feel like I'm confident with talking
Yeah.
now. Long time to get there, and I would love to do the same with singing.
Yeah.
Um, just knowing what you can do and just practicing and practicing and um, trying out the bits you can't do. Once or twice, seeing how it affects you, and then if that means you've got a really bad voice for a couple of days, you know that you have to
Yeah.
take it easy when you're hitting those notes. That kind of thing. And I don't know. I'm just imagining how I would be trained to do it.
Mhm.
I've never had um, professional singing training.
Yeah.
Um, I've had voice training, but it was more just about be a bit more nasal and you get the head voice instead of throat voice.
Yeah. I know. I
Um,
think Nicole that I interviewed from Nicole Maria Sings. I think she has a Patreon or something, and she goes through
yeah,
different singing lessons
that was the other one. I
and
actually
stuff.
just joined. Um, I don't know if it was a Patreon, but I joined one of
Oh,
her groups.
I'm not sure if it's
Um,
Patreon now. But anyway, yes, yes,
I
one
think,
of hers.
yeah,
Yes.
and it's one of those things I join and think, oh yeah, I'll do that,
Yeah.
and then I'm so busy doing reaction channels.
Yeah, but as I say, but you are making stuff. You are, and you are sharing it, which I think is really
Yeah,
important. And then years time, look back and say, I've made a load of stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
and see how it all figures out.
yeah, and it's great to be doing something and feeling that it's I'm achieving every week. I'm achieving
Yeah,
something, and the big goals that seemed like they were on hold for too long, I'm starting to work on them again.
yeah,
And I think just like you said, hitting record every day does it for you. For me, doing that once a
Yeah.
week
And
just
also
helps me
you
to
made it
think I can do
shorter,
it.
more achievable. It's like, okay.
Yeah, and that means that I'm more in the habit of thinking about, what app am I using on my new
Yeah.
laptop to make my videos. So I'm doing that for a little 5-minute thing and figuring out how to use it,
Hmm.
and then that'll help me to do the bigger projects eventually. It's little things like that.
Yeah.
Just
And I say
be
that's
confident it will happen.
yeah. Looking back now, and I'm thinking I have learned a lot since January. I think before that I was doing a lot of making and thinking about stuff, and not sharing. So
Yeah,
it's tough. It's tough to do that extra little bit and share it
yeah.
to everybody.
And
Go on.
I've learned to not worry too much about how many views I get and all that kind of
Yeah.
thing. I do try to. Is the uh, frustration with me at the moment isn't about other people seeing it. It's more about getting other people involved.
Yeah.
I reach out to a lot of people and say, "Oh, let's do something together," and
Hmm.
then don't hear back from them. So I'm really
Yeah.
trying to um, find people that are interested in helping out and
Yeah.
doing an interview or doing my podcast or and the next project that I've just announced, I haven't even read it yet, is like I did with High Ren.
Yeah.
Um, Jenny and
The
Screech
10.
is almost at 1,000
Okay. Yeah.
reactions, so I want to get possibly the same group as before
Yeah.
if they're
Panel.
still keen to do it, and anybody that's interested to just come along and do a Zoom call like this, or it's
Yeah.
a Google Meet I'm using today, and just talk about um, 10 reactions that I'll choose and I'll put in a
Yeah.
little video. And we can just talk about why we love reaction videos so much.
Yeah.
So,
I
so
think
that's
that's
another one,
brilliant.
another new one. So
And
yeah, I'm
it's
trying to get people involved and
yeah.
just doing stuff together and having fun.
Yeah. But it's also really sweet looking at you now, and then you like the big smile, and that you're just excited about it. And I think I know, as I say, talking about being ill, but the chronic fatigue part of the treatment was they were saying to me, find things that give you energy, do projects, and also they were saying about community and reaching out to people. And I was like, well, I think this can fit a lot of those goals. Obviously, when I'm learning and failing some of the tech stuff, that just zaps me out
Yeah,
completely. But the creating and getting excited about it, I do think that's, I would say, almost medicinal. Does that, is that sounding a bit
yeah,
strange?
definitely.
Yeah,
It's
I
um,
don't know.
you get energy from creating stuff. I don't know
Yeah,
how that works.
yeah,
How that works in your body or whatever, but something. It's like mind over matter, I suppose.
yeah,
Your mind is so enthusiastic. It gets your blood pumping and gets your
yeah,
heart racing, and that does so much for you. You
yeah.
know,
Is there
and they say the
anything?
same about laughter.
Yeah. We have no idea if there's even one person waiting, watching until the end of this video. But if there is one person watching till the end, um, what would you say to them? Would tip them over the edge, something, or try something?
Encourage somebody to do something.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
How would you watch Higher End again and get inspiration? um, I think that's it's not specifically higher end, but
Yeah. It's
find
that
things
creative
that
struggle, like you
make
said.
you
Yeah.
enthusiastic. You just find something that you love and do something. I mean, that's what I do. I find things that I'm enthusiastic about, and I make something that either copies it
Yeah.
or is actually talking about it. And um, yeah, like a documentary or a reaction
Yeah.
video, it's all just being enthusiastic. And
Yeah.
I don't know what you can do if you don't love anything. If you don't have any music or films or anything that you love to watch, then I
Yeah.
can't help you there.
That's a tough one. Yeah. But I don't suppose they'd have watched to the end of this if they weren't a die-hard Ren fan, would they?
No, I don't think so.
I kind of have to laugh about it. And it's like, yeah, some of the videos are getting like 10 views. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, but it also feels a little bit safer that way as well, in that I'm figuring it out. I'm figuring out what I want to
Yeah,
talk about. So um, being a
yeah,
baby channel
and
can be good sometimes.
it's growing as well. I mean,
Yeah,
your subs are going up all the time,
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's
It's good fun. It's good fun. Really pleased that you responded. I know that you've been in the comments a few times as well, but you
yeah,
responded on the Instagram. So thank you very much. I'm gonna
it's
hit
my pleasure.
I'm gonna hit pause on my side. I know we're both recording, but I'm gonna hit
Yep,
pause on my side. Thank you. Okay.
yep, I've stopped mine as well.